What's up, everybody? I'm live with Garrett from Football Analysis. Most of you probably know who he is. You're pushing 200,000 subs now on your YouTube channel. Pretty excited about that?
Absolutely. I'm trying for 200 by the NFL draft. We're inching closer by the day. I'm excited to be on.
If you have not subscribed to his channel, please make sure to do so. Football Analysis. His name is tag of this video, but you could just type in Football Analysis. All kinds of videos all across the NFL. Really good stuff, good quality. So make sure to give him a follow. He's covering all NFL-wide stuff, but then how I really found you last year was the NFL draft. I found your draft content. So excellent draft content. Really appreciate you, man. So let's talk about the divisional round of the playoffs.
Let's go. It's if we start off, first off, are you going to be streaming during the Texans Chiefs game? It's playoff football first game.
Yeah, I stream during all of them. So
okay. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. No, there's a couple matchups within the game. First off, by the way, I would like to think that the Chiefs are going to play a little better than their last 60 minutes of football. You know, they got outscored 30. Anyway, who's to say? Backups, that's neither here nor there. But anyway, a couple of the matchups that I'm really looking forward to in this game that I ultimately think is going to dictate the outcome of this game is how well the Chiefs' pass protection can handle the edge duo of Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. Now, I know there's a lot of people that will basically look at this game and say it's the Texans. The Chiefs already beat this team a couple of weeks ago. They have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. Had a pretty quiet year for Travis Kelce standards throughout the 2024 season, but playoff football is here. It's time for Kelce and everybody to turn it up because really at this point with the Chiefs' success, the regular season is more of a warm-up for the next couple of weeks. But I don't think it's wise to just automatically count the Texans out when they are really, really strong at one part in particular, the Chiefs roster that has been an Achilles heel for them throughout the 2024 season, even despite the amount of winning that they've done.
Yeah, man. I don't know how many playoff games in a row the Chiefs are going to be able to pull off, but I am definitely excited about a lot of these matchups. And which one do you think you are looking forward to the most out of all of them?
For me personally, I'll preface this. I'm from Maryland. I love Lamar. I like Patrick Mahomes. I like Josh Allen, but I'm really, really looking forward to Ravens-Bills Sunday. And I think the NFL definitely kind of send a message. You know, the one seeds are on Saturday. Those are the games that we expect the one seeds to take care of business. And I still think the Chiefs are going to win. You're going to win. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that the Chiefs are in any sort of trouble by any means with the Texans, more so just pointing something out. But I'm really looking forward to both the Rams-Eagles game for the early game on Sunday, and then really, really looking forward to the game in Western New York to cap what should be a pretty exciting divisional round weekend.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. The one seed battle be fun. This is one of my favorite ones that I can't wait for as well. Buffalo Bills, Ravens. How do you see? We'll just go in order real quick, I guess, and just kind of get your thoughts on how you think some of these games could be playing out and who you think could walk away with the victors. We've kind of already given some of your initial thoughts there, but Houston, Chiefs, I think the Chiefs are like 8-point favorites. They're at Arrowhead. It is cold, cold, cold. The Houston Texans, obviously, they are a dome team from Texas. I don't know that the elements favor them, and I don't know that really anything favors them, I guess, from a broad perspective. Obviously, their defense favors them. It's a very elite defense. Let me know your thoughts on that and some of your key matchups in that game.
Well, like you just mentioned, the defense for the Texans is going to have to step up. And if they're going to win, it's going to require, I would say, not just one, but multiple turnovers, because the absolute last thing the Texans want is to be up 20-17, 23-20, 2 minutes left to play, and 15 in red has the football. That's the last thing anybody wants. It's been a down year. I don't really care. That's the last thing anybody wants. That in whether you're a Texans coach, whether you're in Super Bowl, it doesn't matter. You don't want to go into that situation. So the Texans are going to have to force multiple turnovers. They, of course, did that last week. They picked Justin Herbert off 4 times. I certainly would not expect that from Patrick Mahomes. But that's going to be the big thing, is how much can the secondary step up? It's a young secondary. It's led by Derek Stingley Jr., who's in his 3rd year. Kamari Lassiter is a 2nd-round rookie out of Georgia who has, by every definition, exceeded expectations this year. But now you're in Arrowhead with the season on the line. This is why you were brought in to be a Texan, to help us go from where we were last year, which was a division-winning team that had an exciting rookie quarterback, to, all right, we played in Baltimore last year. We got our tails stuck between our legs. We lost by 3 scores in Baltimore. What are we going to do the second time around? The second time we're playing one of the big dogs in the AFC, because the only really big dog they haven't played in the conference yet is Josh Allen and the Bills. But now we're getting our second crack at it. How are we going to play against the Chiefs? Ultimately, I'm going to trust Steve Spagnuolo, who is a Hall of Fame coordinator, more than I'm going to trust Bobby Slowick at the Texans, who certainly went through his ups and downs in 2024. But at the end of the day, I follow a very complex method in January when I pick winners. It's very complex. I don't know if you're going to be able to follow this one. It's don't bet against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. That's the method, and especially when they're 8-point favorites at home, I'm not betting against the Chiefs.
I don't remember where I heard this, but somebody said it would be the biggest upset of the weekend if the Texans ended up winning that game, rather. Something intriguing about the Chiefs' defense is they should have their cornerback 2 and Jalen Watson back. His 21-day window to return opened up. He was a full go at practice all week. Listed as questionable. They haven't officially brought him back. I think they'll do that tomorrow. But yeah, he should be getting some sort of reps in there. And so you're not just going to be able to throw to whoever's lined up opposite Trent McDuffie now. In theory, we'll have to see how he looks. It's a little bit of conjecture, but yeah, that's a big boost. And then obviously, I think a little bit of weakness there for the Texans on the offense, that interior offensive line, i.e., enter Chris Jones on the interior D line. That could present some real problems for C.J. Stroud.
I couldn't agree more. And I did see you tweeting about Watson today. So I'm glad you brought that up. I was refreshing the feed, seeing you were excited about it, so it's like I said, the complex method, don't bet against the Chiefs. And for as much as the Texans pass rush benefits from the Chiefs offensive line going through their ups and downs throughout the 2024 season, the Chiefs interior defensive line, like you alluded to, benefits in the exact same way. And I would not want to bet against Chris Jones against a struggling interior offensive line that could easily be in CJ Stroud's face all day long.
Do you have a score prediction for this game, or are you the guy that's like, I don't really mess with score predictions?
No, I'm not copping out. I'll give one. I think it'll be something around 27-17, 27-20. I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Texans covered. They are still a really solid team. They just went through their ups and downs, and unfortunately, they're not a team that plays in 14 one-score games and wins them all. They do lose some of the one-score games, but no, I think it'll be pretty close all throughout. I think 27-20, 27-17, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah, it was like 18-27 last time they played. The Chiefs kneeled the ball out inside the Texans 20. So I guess you could have put up more if you wanted. Andy Reid would never at the end of a game. But yeah, I think it'll be something similar. Like, that's kind of where my mind is, around a one-score game. I would love it to be more. Please let it be a non-stressful divisional game. I mean, I would totally be fine with that and would actually rather prefer it. I will say this, there's a bunch of people in chat saying, when was this recorded? This is live. We are live, just so you guys know, but I wanted to get because sometimes I'll premiere like long form interviews and stuff, but it's live. I promise. We're live. It's live. I see you guys in chat. But yeah, we just wanted to preview this game, or these games in the divisional round, and just kind of chat about it, since the Chiefs play on Saturday. And I thought of no better guest than to be able to do that with than Garrett. Next game, we've got the Commanders and the Lions. I mean, I don't think the Lions lose this game, but I am very intrigued about how it could play out. The Commanders have scored 35 or more points like 4 or 5 times this season. So if you have a team that needs to win via a shootout, I mean, and when you play the Lions, that's really what you're going to have to do regardless. But if Jaden Daniels can play lights out, do you think they could keep it close in a shootout with the Lions?
Keep it close, yes. I don't think I don't think they're gonna win. Let's just call that what it is. Like, when you look at who Jaden Daniels is throwing to, outside of Terry McLaurin, it's De'Ami Brown, who, by the way, stepped up in the wildcard round. Credit where it's due. It's a 34-year-old Zach Ertz. It's It's a 30-year-old Austin Eckler. It's not a great unit. And what I would point to is this: is I'm like I alluded to earlier with the Ravens. I'm from Maryland. I deal with both fan bases regularly, whether it's Commanders, whether it's Ravens. I am 26 years old, and the last time the Commanders won a playoff game, I was in the second grade. So no matter what happens here, if you would have said 9 months ago, Jaden Daniels is going to have 30 total touchdowns, they're going to go on the road and win a playoff game. Every Commanders fan base, or every Commanders fan that said first playoff win in 19 years, I literally do not care what happens in the divisional round. If we win a playoff game, I will take that. And they're also playing a Lions team that had their first week off since all the way back in week 5. That was really disadvantageous for the Lions to have that week 5 bye, especially with the 17-game season. So they're going to be chomping at the bit. Dan Campbell will absolutely have the Lions ready to play. And I do think the Commanders, not just on the offensive side of the ball with Jaden Daniels, but even on the defense, I think they have all overachieved relative to where they were entering the year. I thought the defense was going to be okay, but I still think the defense even overperformed. And I think you're going to run into a unit that you can honestly say has 3 head coaches in Dan Campbell, Ben Johnson, and Aaron Glenn, that has countless Pro Bowl players. I've made this reference before, but I really think the 2024 Lions are similar to the 2001 Miami Hurricanes, where you can just name players. You know, back in that roster, they had Clinton Portis, Ed Reed, Jeremy Shockey, Vince Wilfork, Sean Taylor as a backup. They had all these guys, and the same thing applies to the Lions right now. They have Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Sonic and Knuckles, shout out to nickname, Amon-Ra St. Brown, J-Mo, Sam Laporta, Jared Goff's playing phenomenal. Penei Sewell is an all-pro caliber tackle. The list goes on with the Lions, especially offensively. And Aaron Glenn held the Vikings to 9 points in Week 18 with several players out. I would be very, very surprised. I mean, it's Jaden Daniels is good. He's had a great rookie season, but going into Ford Field, week off, the Commanders on a short week, I would be shocked if Washington goes in and wins this game. And that's no disrespect. That's more respect to the Lions in terms of where they are versus where the Commanders are.
Yeah, I kind of said in my preview on my second channel that if the Commanders are able to play perfect, I think they could keep it close-ish, but still think the Lions win by at least 7. I mean, the Lions are banged up. I mean, on defense for sure. But dude, I don't know who's stopping that offense. And what scares me about the Commanders is their run defense. And then you look at that, I think they've given up like third, or they're top 5 in yards allowed, I believe, rushing yards allowed on defense this year. If my memory serves me right. But then you look at what the Lions have done on the ground with Jahmyr Gibbs, and then David Montgomery's returning too. Like, I'm pretty afraid of that, because once they really have to focus and hone in on that, I mean, that's when Jared Goff tears you apart with weapons galore. I mean, it doesn't matter. Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. I mean, these guys are stacked. Super Bowl favorites probably by many for a reason. And I'll just say, you feel free to piggyback off that, but I'll just say something you said at the beginning is so just interesting to me, how quickly a team can change just in a couple of years, because the Commanders were definitely down there with, I mean, like, pick your poison with teams right now that are not great. Raiders, Browns, I mean, Panthers, even though I think they're on the up a little bit with Bryce Young, but it's just crazy. Over the last few years, you refresh the ownership group and you've made some big changes, and it's interesting to see how much that team has changed. So just what you said, the fact that the Commanders have made the playoffs for the first time in 20 years, that's a huge accomplishment.
100%. And that's and by the way, I'm glad you brought up the ownership. I've also, living in the area, I've had to live through all the Dan Snyder, all of that. So I'm glad that Dan Snyder is not like profiting off of this playoff run, and I'm glad that they are winning playoff games now that he's out. I'm very happy for the Commanders fan base and everybody that's associated with the Commanders. But that's the thing, is this is not a Cinderella, because we're only in the second round of the playoffs, but it's a phenomenal season. There's a lot to build on for tomorrow. I don't think there's a chance that they go into Detroit and win. I'd be happy to be proved wrong, because Jaden Daniels leading that team to the NFC Championship game in his rookie year would be truly unprecedented hype. But I think, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the spread, I mean, I think it's around 8.5 points. I think it should be, honestly, 9.5, 10. If I had to give a score prediction for this game, I think it'd be in the ballpark of 35-24, somewhere in there. The thing is I think there's a real chance the Lions pounce early. They're going to pound the rock. They're going to wear them down. And what's frustrating, speaking from experience, watching your team play the Lions. They will ground and pound with David Montgomery, 3, 4, 5 times in a row. And then once you're have a little fatigue after dealing with the 225-pound back, they bring in a guy who runs a 4.3 and he just darts all across the field. And Jahmyr Gibbs is one of the best backs in the league. He led the NFL in total touchdowns this year for a reason, and that was even with David Montgomery for most of the year. So they know what they're doing. Ben Johnson's going to be the head coach of another team very soon for a reason, and I would be extremely shocked if the Commanders win this game.
Yeah, me too. I mean, this is one of those games where it's like, I feel like it could not be close. I try to talk myself into ways that I think it could get close potentially, but I just don't know. Like, there was not any close games other than Commanders Bucks in the wild card round. The rest were not close at all, but this one actually might be the only one potentially that is not extremely close. And since you mentioned it, I do want to plug one set of pick'ems that I really liked for this weekend. It's all running backs. So shout out to Underdog, the season-long partner of the channel. Code HBTC can get you up to $1,000 in bonus cash plus a gimme pick in the lobby. And Garrett has a code as well, code Garrett. So whichever you want to use, code Garrett with, how do you spell it?
Garret. I can actually comment if need be.
There it is. Do it. Code Garrett or code HBTC. Either way, I love these picks since we're talking running backs. Jahmyr Gibbs, touchdown, higher than a half of a rushing or receiving touchdown. Derrick Henry, touchdown. James Cook, touchdown. And then Saquon Barkley as the rushing leader of that game. So it's just 4 picks of running backs. And you said it. Jahmyr Gibbs led the NFL in total touchdowns among all running backs. But then Jahmyr Gibbs, Derrick Henry, I think it was Jahmyr Gibbs, Derrick Henry, and James Cook were all tied for first in rushing touchdowns with 16. So I loved that. And then when you consider the fact that Saquon Barkley, last time they played the Rams, ran for over 250 yards, I'm feeling confident, not that he'll run that much, but that he'll lead the game as the highest rusher in that one. So that was one of my favorite picks of the weekend. Of course, I did a Chiefs one as well. Kelsey, higher than 4.5 receptions. Pirine, I feel like this was a gimme. Pirine had over 50 yards, I think, against the Texans or close to it. And his higher is 9.5 receiving yards. CJ Stroud, higher than 200. I mean, if they have to come from behind, they're going to be throwing the ball a lot, especially against a top 3, top 5 run defense in the Kansas City Chiefs. And then Patrick Mahomes was the gimme pick. So I had to do that. You had the perfect segue for the underdog plug. But with that being said, that's Saturday's slate. Let's talk Sunday's slate, and some of that ties into really what we were just talking about in Saquon Barkley against Kyren Williams, even though I see it more as probably the savvy vet Matt Stafford against whatever the heck the Eagles are going to be doing. How confident are you in maybe Jalen Hurts in this offense? They looked a little weird in the wild card round. I know Jalen Hurts had a concussion, missed a couple games rather, and maybe it was a little rust from his part. But how are you feeling about this game, Rams heading into Philly?
So this is a game. This is chess piece. This is Sean McVay, Vic Fangio. I am very much looking forward to this. And Sean McVay versus Vic Fangio. And shout out to Brett Coleman for this, by the way, because he was the one that actually put me onto this. The Super Bowl that everybody refers to as the most boring Super Bowl ever, the Rams Patriots 13-3. That Belichick Patriots playbook from that game was referenced from earlier in that year in 2018 when the Rams struggled against the Bears when Vic Fangio was their defensive coordinator. They played earlier this year, and what Fangio did was really stump the Rams by changing looks and running a lot of 6x1 basically on the defensive line, and it really put Sean McVay in a pickle. He didn't know what to do, and we saw the rematch for the first time, like you said, a month ago when they played. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how Sean McVay rebounds. And I love Sean McVay. I think he is one of the brightest offensive minds in all of football. Very much looking forward to that. And that's one of the matchups that I can't wait to see is Puka Nacua versus Quinyon. How is McVay going to attack that? Is he going to have Puka basically line up on the other side of the field and say, Quinyon, we don't want anything to do with you. Go lock up Cooper Kupp. Go lock up somebody that's not my number one. It's going to be something I'm paying attention to. But I'm also looking forward to the Eagles, and like you said, how they started slow last week. And one thing that I do want to point out is Philly fans are passionate about the Birds. And one thing that I do positively want to point out is they were a Saquon Barkley kneel down last week from putting up 29 points. And if you win that game by 19 points, you win 29-10. I think we're having a completely different discussion, because that game is not, I mean, a 19-point game is a 19-point game. I mean, there's no, oh, well, we just had this play go wrong. I mean, that's a 3-score win. And I think the Eagles are going to be fine. It is definitely worth mentioning that was Jalen Hurts' first game coming back from the concussion protocol, and I think they'll be fine. A.J. Brown only had 1 reception. A.J. Brown is obviously one of the best receivers in the league. He's also an avid reader. Shout out the book Inner Excellence. Sales were up big time this week, but I'm looking forward to seeing I'm looking forward to seeing the Rams secondary against the Eagles receivers, and then of course Vic Fangio and everything that he represents.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this game. Like, I think the Eagles win it. I think Saquon is, they're able to really grind you long drives, and then obviously it's just a dual threat with Hurts. He doesn't scramble, I feel like, how he used to, but he still can. Definitely in the playoffs, we're going to see an uptick in all these quarterbacks scrambling, probably other than Matt Stafford, maybe Jared Goff too. But the others, you'll see an uptick, and then, I mean, they just got so many weapons. Well, you said A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Goddard. I mean, geez, they're kind of loaded over there. But then I just look at the Rams, and I have a hard time doubting Matt Stafford. Again, I know you mentioned it. The Rams did lose to the Eagles, and I do have the Eagles winning this one again. But man, if it's close, I have Matt Stafford as a top 5 quarterback in the NFL today. Still, maybe he's 5. But I have him right there right near the top 5. So I can't count him out, especially when he's throwing to people like Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp.
I'm right there with you. I will say I think the Eagles win, because I think in a similar fashion with the Lions and Commanders game, that when it comes hell or high water for me personally, look, you have Saquon Barkley, you have that offensive line is absolutely ridiculous. And I wish there were times, I know I'm a Vikings fan, so my team's interior offensive line is probably on the level of where the Chiefs was during that Bucs playoff game, where you're just sitting there just like screaming at the TV for somebody to please block. And it's infuriating watching that, where the Eagles are just basically like, hey, look at that big 330-pound guy. Let's just stick him here, and good luck trying to run through a 330-pound man. And by the way, Jordan Mailata is like 350 at left tackle. Mekhi Becton's like 360 at right guard. I mean, banging in the trenches all game with those guys is not an easy task. And it's very much like, let's just ground and pound the entire game. And by the time the fourth quarter rolls around, you're going to be worn down. So I would take the Eagles in this game as well. And that's even with question marks around Jalen Hurts at this point. I do agree with you on Stafford. I think he is kind of underrated. He didn't have the best season statistically this year, but I'm not going to bet against the run in the playoffs, especially in what will be a colder January day, and especially when they have an offensive player of the year candidate in Saquon Barkley running behind that offensive line that certainly has the beef.
If you're going to go with the score prediction, where would you have it?
I did forget about that. That's on me.
That's
would probably say it's going to be close. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be close. I'd say 24. We'll go 24-20. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to come down to the Rams get a late either field goal or something. They give the Eagles the ball back 4 or 5 minutes left, and the Eagles basically say, hey, Saquon, win us the game behind this offensive line. And they essentially run the clock out on a Rams defensive line that they're not soft. That's not what I'm trying to say, but there's really no defensive line that would want to deal with that for 4 straight quarters, and especially just 10 times to end the game consecutively. So I think it'll be 24-20.
Yeah, it's a different beast. No offense, but the Eagles are a different beast a little bit in how they play on the offense than the Vikings, man. I mean, it's just a different thing you have to worry about with Saquon and all the weapons that they have. And I actually thought Sam Darnold had a really good year. That's a topic for another day. But my editor, Troy, is a Vikings fan. I know you're a Vikings fan. So I was hoping they would win. I was less confident after how they finished out the Week 18 finale against the Lions. I was a little less confident in Sam Darnold. And yeah, he struggled. I don't think it was all on him. Some of it was play call. But probably half, if not more, of those 9 sacks, it was just him holding onto the ball and doing stuff he probably shouldn't have. But the Rams are going up against a little bit different of a monster in the Eagles. I actually think the Eagles, I thought this a few weeks ago, they're kind of a team I could easily see back in the Super Bowl. I mean, I thought this after week 10, week 12, I was like, I think the Eagles could find themselves back in there. I don't know if you have them as Super Bowl favorites over the Lions or not, but that would be a very interesting dynamic because you're predicting the Eagles to win and then you're predicting the Lions to win, to see who would actually end up winning that conference, the NFC, North Conference Championship.
No, for sure. And
National.
But I got you.
I'm thinking Vikings. I'm thinking AFC
Right.
North. Anyway, not the North Conference Championship.
No, I do want to clarify one thing, because I don't want this to be like taken out of context. I mentioned that the Rams defensive line specifically isn't soft. That's not what I meant at all. I just meant that the Eagles offensive line, like combined, is like 1,800 pounds from 5 guys. So that, I mean, as good as the Rams defensive line is with Jared Verse, with Braden Fisk, with Kobe Turner, I just don't think that they want to hang with that for 4 quarters. That was the entire point. I didn't want to come across as like, oh, I'm just a sad Vikings fan after we got smoked. We weren't on the same level. Not even close. So I did want to clarify that.
Yeah, all good. I mean, because they got some dogs on the line, but it's just a much different dynamic of an offense and how they run it. All right, so that's 3 of the 4. I will say this, my mom just hit the channel with a 21-month membership, said, watching you live from Cancun, love mom. And what's so funny is that she's actually really in Cancun. So let me know if you see Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, any of the Bengals out there in Cancun. Since you're out there. That's hilarious. She's not even trolling. She's just actually in Cancun. We'll get to the rest of
Sam Darnold there?
Yeah, Sam Darnold. If you see any NFL players, let us know. But we'll get to the rest of these questions and membership renewals here at the end. But I did want to talk about probably the game of the week. I'm very intrigued about it. I'm actually going to stream this one too, regardless of win or loss for the Chiefs. I'm going to stream this one on Sunday. I just think, because if the Chiefs win, they're playing the winner. But I think, I don't know. This is the game where I look at it, I'm like, I have no idea how this goes. Like, obviously the Ravens torched the Bills week 4, whenever that was, 10-35. I mean, they torched them. They dusted them. But the Bills did have some key injuries in the linebacker room. There was even more than that. I mean, I just don't feel like these are the same teams. And I don't know what to make of it, but you've got one of the top scoring offenses for both teams. I think they're like second and third scoring offenses. Both of their defenses are, I think, top 10-ish in points allowed, or maybe a little bit out of the top 10, but they're like even where they are on defense and offense from points scored and points allowed. Obviously, the Ravens have Derrick Henry, but they're also down Zay Flowers. He's not going to be playing. How are you feeling about this game, Ravens, Bills, based on just how they're looking right now?
So there's one big thing within the points per game part. I honestly, I'll be direct, I don't know off the top of my head where the Ravens are in points allowed per game, dating all the way back to that week 1 Isaiah Likely almost touchdown game against the Chiefs. I don't know. But what I do know is over the past like 6-7 games, they've been improving big time defensively. And that is what matters now. That September 8th game, that October 14th game, that doesn't matter with where the Ravens defense was then, where they are now. They're improving. They looked really good against Pittsburgh outside of a big shot play to George Pickens and whatever. You know, they're NFL players. They're going to get paid. But I worry about the Bills defense in this game, because I think that Tyler Linderbaum, the Ravens center, is one of the best in the business. I'm not getting in a Creed versus Tyler discussion. I just think he's a really good player.
Good.
I also think the Bills defense is more, and again, this can be taken out of context, but I think they are built more on speed and everybody attacking the football. Not that they're soft, but everybody rallying to the football. And that's a little different when you're playing a Derrick Henry who is he's quite literally the size of an edge rusher. He's 6'3", 245, and it's a little different when you are facing a back that might be 5'10", 210, or even 220. I mean, he has an additional 25 pounds on what is already considered a bigger back at 220 pounds. So when I look at this game, it is also 100% worth acknowledging, it's very important to acknowledge that they were without Matt Milano and Taron Johnson earlier in the year. And Milano, I think, is one of the most underappreciated players of the past couple of years. I think he flies around. I love watching Matt Milano play, and that's obviously going to change a lot of things. I don't think that changes the fact that they gave up 35 points, or I don't think it changes that much, should we say. And when you have a very cold weather game, because as we know in Western New York this time of year, it's going to be pretty chilly, and that I think around kickoff, I've been hearing from other Ravens fans that it's going to be around 5 degrees, maybe even colder. Who do you think's getting the rock? I mean, we know now who's getting the rock a lot. There's a reason they brought him in free agency. There's a reason Derrick Henry wanted to effectively ring chase, because he knew the Titans entering 2024 were not going to be a great team. He wanted to have this opportunity. And when you're going against a team that, again, is not built to stop an edge rusher at running back based on size, I'm going to side with the Ravens in this one, and I really think that they can control and milk the clock and keep Josh Allen off the field and limit him to a couple of stops, and that's probably going to be the deciding factors, is just limiting Josh to a stop or two, milk the clock, win the time of possession battle, 35 to 25 minutes, and I like the Ravens in this game.
Yeah, I actually do have the Ravens winning as well. I tried to put like all bias aside when I just was like looking at this game, like who do I want the Chiefs to see next? Like I would like to probably see the Bills again, just because they win in the regular season, and there's nothing that would make me more happy as a Chiefs fan than possibly sending the Bills home again for the 4th time in the Mahomes and Allen era. But I do think the Ravens win. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. You kind of alluded to the same, like it's not going to be near the same, but when you said you worry about the Bills defense, I mean, I just kind of look at them down the back half of the stretch, and there we go, zoom in a little bit, but you allow 44 to the Rams. I mean, the Lions are a powerhouse, but 42. The Lions in that the Patriots in that first matchup, 21. They did a little bit better here down the stretch, but the Jets, okay, they're the Jets. Patriots again. This was backups anyway. It doesn't matter. They've got to feel good about limiting the Broncos to just 7 points. I mean, they scored on that opening drive, and outside of that, they did absolutely nothing. But I am a little more concerned, just what you said, I think, about the Bills defense holding up all 4 quarters in this game with Lamar. You said you compared him to an edge rusher, Derrick Henry. I just say straight up, he's a refrigerator. I mean, that dude is massive. I think they get the W. I don't know that I have a score prediction, but I think in a 1-score game, probably ish, I think the Ravens end up getting the dub.
I'll say the exact same score as to what it was when the Chiefs walked in the Buffalo last year, 27-24. I don't know if Tyler Bass is going to miss a field goal at the end, but I think it's going to be close all throughout. I'm going to go 27-24. I think it's going to be did I cut out? Anyway, it's going to be an electric football game. It's going to be an electric football game, and I jokingly commented this on Instagram that this is by far the most divisional round game that I'm looking forward to since Bills Chiefs last year. So I can't wait for it,
dude. I'm gonna tell you what, if the Bills lose at home again to a missed Tyler Bass field goal, they might actually storm the field. Like they might actually do it.
I hope that's not the case for Tyler's sake. I think he's a really good kicker. He's a good dude. I hope that's not the case, but I just have a hard time seeing Buffalo consistently stop the run. And shout out Todd Monken last week. Obviously, you guys know what happened last year in the AFC Championship game. They only put up 10 points. They only ran the ball 6 times outside of Lamar Jackson. And he basically said from drive 1, Derrick Henry, you know why you're here. Everyone knows why you're here. Go ahead and try and stop us. And I don't think the Bills are going to be able to stop Derrick Henry enough times to win the game. And that's where I stand in this. I generally go with power and strength in the playoffs. There's exceptions, of course, but in this game, I'm going to trust Derrick Henry and the Ravens run game over the Bills' interior run defense.
The most hilarious thing to me is I think the Ravens total, this is with Lamar, but still total 50 carries for 299 yards against the Steelers. That's like stupid, like Madden type numbers. Probably it's probably opposite in the pass game, but just some, like, that's what you would expect from like a Madden game. 50 carries, 299 yards, and I think 2 touchdowns, both from Henry. What a wild one. So we've got if I go back to this, I'll get, this is probably too early predictions, but we've got Chiefs based on your predictions. Okay. Chiefs win, Lions win, Eagles win, Ravens win. So that's Chiefs, Ravens in the AFC Championship, Lions, Eagles in the NFC Championship. championship. Let's say that happens. It's too early, but who are you taking to win and make it to the Super Bowl?
I am going to go with. I'm not going to back down.
You're fine.
Go ahead. I don't expect you to pull the tweet up. That's not what I'm referencing. But I tweet every year, opening kickoff, Super Bowl, insert the year, Super Bowl 59, Chiefs over Lions, Super Bowl 59. That's three-peat. That's what I think it's going to be. I'm not backing down now, and that's what I'm going to go with. I'll even give you a step further. I'll give you the Super Bowl, Chiefs over Lions.
When did you tweet that?
I'll just DM it to you. Actually, it was probably like an hour before Chiefs Ravens kicked off. I'll DM it to you because I know what word specifically to search for. Yeah, you
tweeted that week 1. Yes, Chiefs over Lions in the Super Bowl. Yeah, we'll pull up the tweet. That's impressive. It's interesting because I don't remember seeing that tweet, and I didn't know if when you were saying you're setting yourself up, I was like, okay, he's taking the Ravens over the Chiefs, which I would have been fine with. I don't think that happens. I think the Chiefs match up a little bit better with the Ravens and the Bills. There's just certain teams that the Chiefs play and they match up really well. The Bengals do it. They didn't make it to the playoffs, but I'm just saying every time the Bengals play, every time the Bills play, but I don't think Lamar, he's maybe won one game against Mahomes. He's like either 1-4 or 0-4, 0-5. I mean, it's pretty lopsided. And the Ravens, again, it's past years, doesn't matter. But the Ravens won that one game against the Chiefs. CEH fumbled at the end of the game, and they were able to. It was all bad. But I like how the Chiefs match up a little bit better. Now, with that being said, I still do have a healthy respect for Lamar, the Ravens. If Lamar can get out of his own head and play some better playoff football deeper down the stretch here, I mean, they are a legit threat, but Lamar has had issues in the past with, showing up in the brightest of moments. Now, he looked great against the Steelers. I'm going to give him credit, but I do think if it is Chiefs-Ravens, I like that too. And Chiefs over Lions, what is so interesting about that to me, and again, this is conjecture because we're not there yet, but literally 99.9% of the planet, maybe even other planets, if there's life over there, would be rooting for the Lions to win. I mean, the Lions have never been. It would be kind of like Patrick Mahomes and company early before they started winning. Everybody was rooting for the Chiefs to win, and I've watched the villain arc completely switch, and everybody would be rooting for the Lions. Chiefs securing the three-peat like that. I mean, the apps would melt down, but I would love it. So, yeah, that was a tweet from September 5th. Chiefs over Lions. Let's go, man. If that happens, I might have to treat you to something. I don't know. I have to super chat on your channel or something.
No, it's all good. But I do want to say one thing that I think is hilarious regarding the Chiefs. And I know probably everybody watching this, considering it's your Chiefs-based YouTube channel. What I think is hilarious is you go back 2018 AFC Championship game, the D4 game, the overtime, Chiefs don't get the ball in overtime. There was the graphic that everybody, who's rooting for the Patriots, and it's literally Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, and Connecticut. And then it's literally the rest of the country's red. And then you fast forward to last year's AFC Championship game, who's rooting for the Ravens. It's 49 states with one spot in the middle in Missouri that's rooting for the Chiefs. I just think it's hilarious where it's the definition of living long enough to see living long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah, it's wild. Definition. It is very wild, and I just let people talk. And I mean, here's the thing: they're sick of the Chiefs winning. I get it because I was sick of the Patriots winning. So I actually have some I don't know if it's empathy or sympathy. I always get those words mixed up, but I can relate to Patriots fans during their run, and I can be like, okay, so this is what you guys dealt with. Now there's a whole nother conversation about them with some of the things that happened, Deflategate, blah blah blah. But still, I could relate. But man, I know you get up.
Taylor Swift-gate? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, Taylor Swift-gate. That's it, dude. That's it, man.
Kidding, by the way.
Three-peat for the Swifties. Let's go. No, you're good. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm super excited. I think the Chiefs get the W on Saturday. Boslowich with the 2 said 2 best football channels on YouTube. No contest. Thanks so much for the 2 bomb, man. Appreciate that.
it.
Garrett, I thank you for your time, man. I know you get up early. You're grinding. I know the YouTube grind. You're putting out content all the time. So I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out here. And do you have any final words, any final plugs that you want to point people to?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I'm having a good time. I didn't know you were kicking me off, but no,
you can. But no, you can. I mean, I'm going to stay and answer a few questions, but you're welcome to stay. I wanted to honor your time. So if you have a few minutes, we can stay and keep going. It's up to you.
Yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Cool.
I'll get up tomorrow. I'll get up 5:15. It's all good. It's all good.
Okay. I just wanted to honor your time, but yeah, we'll stay a few more minutes for sure. Pin on Fire and Carving said, who would you want if the Chiefs make it to the championship game, Bills or Ravens? I say Ravens, but if Bills win, it would be a revenge game. Yeah, we did answer that. I don't know if you have skin in the game either way. Like I don't know if you have thoughts on that either way, but I would probably rather have the Ravens. I think they'll match up better. But hey, nothing would make me more happy than sending the Bills home again. Oh God, they would be beside themselves. Mike Tilson.
If I were a
Chiefs
fan, if I were a Chiefs fan, I'd want the Bills because that regular season, just speaking strictly from if I had the opportunity to chirp on Twitter or just online, to be able to say to Bills fans again, like, you guys can take your regular season, but we'll win when it matters. Just to have the opportunity, I would 100% rather play the Bills.
Yeah,
again, my last playoff win was a week. My last playoff win was a week before the Chiefs beat the Texans like 50-30. That was my last playoff win. So it's been quite a while. My last playoff win was literally pre-COVID. So what can you do?
Was it the Minneapolis Miracle? Was that the last one?
No, it was the Saints 2 years later. The Saints.
Okay, yeah. Dude, the Miracle. I can't keep track of like dates, but that was one of the craziest endings to a game I ever seen in my life. Troy, my editor, was like, "Yeah, I cried."
Yeah,
that was such a crazy ending, man.
It was wild. I was actually God. Go with the super chats. I'll yap at the end. I'll yap at the end about it.
No, you're good. Yeah, I'll catch up. We only have a couple left. Mike Tilson.
Oh no.
Mike Tilson with the 20. What happened?
I unplugged my mic. We're good.
Oh, you're good.
We're good.
Mike Tilson with the 20 months. I might be one of the few picking the Commanders to upset the Lions, but who knows? Crazier things have happened. Yeah, here's the thing. Playoffs are playoffs. Like if Jared Goff decides to throw 5 picks in a game, I mean, he did that once this season. I don't think that happens because that was against the Texans, right? I mean, those guys that's a little bit different beast in my opinion, but hey, crazier things have happened. Like I thought the Chargers were going to win. And Herbert threw 4 picks, and they just looked horrible. I mean, they did not play complete complementary football, and you have to do that in playoffs or you go home. So crazier things have definitely happened, for sure.
I'd welcome it, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we hashed through it earlier, and it's just like, yeah, I think the odds of that are pretty freaking rare. Justin with the 10 said, I may have missed this because I came in late. How many yards we thinking for D-Hop in Hollywood against their former team? Well, thank you for the 10. I don't know. I mean, I looked at their yards and underdog, and I didn't love either of them just because I just don't really know what to make of the Chiefs offense as far as who's going to feed. Like Kelsey, I just saw a tweet earlier, Garrett, that Kelsey has the most, look at this tweet, this is crazy, most consecutive playoff games with 70 or more receiving yards in NFL history, and Travis Kelce has an active streak of 13 games. So 13 games in a row in the playoffs, at least 70 receiving yards. That's where I would tell you that's why I'm like, Kelce might feast, but you got Hollywood back, you've got Worthy, you've got D-Hop, and his snap count should increase, so I don't really know, to be honest with you.
I think it's very much a Travis Kelce game. I think D-Hop, I wouldn't expect that much. I'm going to be honest. I think less than 50. No disrespect to D-Hop. I think it's going to be a run the ball, get the ball to Travis Kelce game. If you have your underdog slip real quick, I did place an entry with Travis Kelce with higher than 52.5 receiving yards, because I'm sitting here thinking, like, this is without a doubt a future Hall of Fame tight end. 4.5 receptions. I love it. I mean, he had 84 yards against the Steelers. It's anytime his line's 53 or his line, his entry is at 53 yards. I'm taking the higher every time, especially in the postseason. I did want to ask one question. This is my super chat. Keep the entry. Do you respect Samaje Perine's beard? Where do we stand on that?
It's pretty good. Yeah,
Okay,
it's the best on the team. I don't know anybody else who's rocking one even close. So every time I see his beard, I have to respect it. Do you know Andy Reid's son? I can't remember his first name, but he's a strength and conditioning coach for the Chiefs. Have you seen a picture of him?
I have not. This is news to me.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna pull this up. It's Spencer Reid. I'm gonna show you this picture, dude. You're going to be like, okay. So basically, every other week or so, somebody will message me and say, were you at the game on the sidelines? I always have to tell them. I always have to tell them that it's Andy Reid's son, the strength and conditioning coach for the Kansas City Chiefs. His beard is actually longer now. So they joke around like, hey, Cole's at the sidelines, but this dude's like, he's a strength and conditioning coach, way bigger than me. But that's the guy that I always get kind of razzed about. Like, Cole, you're on the sideline, dude. Nice.
Well, I literally can't grow facial hair. So I live vicariously through guys like yourself, like Samaje Perine, where it's just like, it must be nice. It must be nice. I can't relate, unfortunately. But what can you do?
I had hair on top of my head at one point in life, and so it's kind of like the flip for me. It's like, okay, cool, you guys got hairlines. So Skeletor said, Cole, that's your twin. Yeah, that's if I was about 30 pounds heavier, I'm actually convinced I could walk into the Chiefs facility and get in there, but I'm too skinny, I think, to be able to pull that off. What are your thoughts on and we can go any direction really from here, but man, do you think the Vikings franchise tag Darnold?
No, absolutely.
Do you think you just let him walk in free agency? I mean, what do you do? What do you do with that? And yeah, go ahead. Just what do you do with that situation?
So right now I've been listening. I'm not a huge press conference guy. I'm not normally. And by the way, somebody asked a comment and they tagged me in it, which I'll get to in a minute. I do want to. I'll talk about that as well. But no, we're not going to franchise. Well, I'd be surprised. I don't think we're going to franchise tag Darnold at this point, just because JJ's up and coming, and I'm all in on JJ McCarthy. I have to be. I want to, as a fan, I want to believe in something. JJ's work ethic has been tremendous. It's off the charts. As everybody has just said, O'Connell said from day one just how good JJ's been. And there was a chance before he tweaked it. Well, he had a season-ending knee injury back in August that there was a chance he may have won this starting job. Now, I obviously understand how bad Sam Darnold played over the last 2 games, and I get it. But prior to that, he was a 35 touchdown a guy, and he threw for over 4,000 yards. I mean, no disrespect is intended, and obviously, Jefferson and Addison are 2 different players than what Patrick was throwing to for a lot of the year. But Darnold, statistically, because a lot of Vikings fans would pull the numbers up like, oh, look, our quarterback's outperforming Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, we can't say that as Vikings fans often, but it was the fact of like, our quarterback's actually outperforming the best of this generation. So it was this whole thing where it was like he was good for a lot of the year, and he's still going to get a lot of money elsewhere. It's just not going to be in Minnesota. That's all. And no shot at Patrick, of course, but it was just, it was like, holy cow, like our quarterback's actually outperforming Patrick Mahomes. So it was statistically, I would take the playing this weekend versus not playing this weekend if I had the chance. But what can you do?
There's like once a week, I just imagine what Justin Jefferson would be like on the Kansas City Chiefs. Just, I mean, he's $35 million a year. It's impossible. But I will say this is when when you're able to start separating, I guess, the wheat from the chaff or the boys from the men, is when these bright lights like truly turn on who shows up. Like, I actually thought Darnold was playing really well. He had me fooled. I mean, I had a couple Tank 7s at the time when I tweeted this. Tank 7s, if you don't know, they're 8.5% Kansas City beers. But I had a couple of those, and I was like, Vikings beat the Packers, and I was like, man, Vikings Chiefs in the Super Bowl? I was like, that's going to be crazy. I think that could happen. And no. And it's just, who shows up when the lights are the brightest? I mean, Mahomes in the divisional round, 6-0, never lost. His floor is overtime in the AFC Championship. If they win on Saturday, it's 7 AFC Championships in a row. I saw a graphic earlier today on Mahomes' EPA. I think it might have been EPA per play on... Here it is. 3rd and 7 from 2018 to 2024, regular and playoffs, garbage time removed, minimum 300 dropbacks. So 3rd and 7 or more, looking at dropback EPA. And it's absolutely ridiculous. And I would argue probably that's where Mahomes has been most valuable for the Chiefs this year, is on the gotta have it downs, third down, fourth down, just on fourth quarter, game on the line. I think he had 7 game-winning drives this year. So yeah, he's not having the stats like he has had in past years, and I almost wonder. Again, he's not intentionally not having a great season statistically,
Right.
but I almost wonder if they're just like, let's just figure some things out in the regular season. We'll do enough to win. Like I don't know if I anticipated them to win 13 games, something like that, and they won 15. Or what did they win? Yeah, 15-2 because they lost the last week in a blowout that doesn't matter. But yeah, I just wonder if half the time they're just trying to figure things out. They rotated through left tackles. They did have a bunch of injuries this year. Like I was legitimately excited about Rashee Rice. Not that Rice is JJ or anything like that, but I was genuinely excited about him. And he got friendly fired by Mahomes early on in the season. What was that other question you wanted to address? I know there's one.
I was just getting to that. Somebody, it was Desi Xmas. I don't know. He asked about the tempo of the Vikings. He was asking about the tempo of the Vikings game at the end, and that was tough because that was. It was watching like the season go away, and I understand what O'Connell was doing now. I was at the time just like, guys, can we please go? But we were like taking 10 seconds down to the play clock every time we were down 3 scores. But O'Connell was in a situation where it was, okay, do we basically punt on Sam Darnold in a do or die game where I can call it what it is? I mean, I'm a realistic Vikings fan, but we would not have beat Philly this week no matter what. That's where we were going to play. So Kevin O'Connell basically just punted the season, and he chose to go down with the ship with Sam Darnold rather than trying to put Nick Mullins in the game. At the time, I was hot because I wanted us to have a chance. And even at that point, you're down 27-9 entering the fourth quarter. You're just, that's a last gasp like prayer anyway, regardless. So at the time I was hot. Now I understand it. I also had somebody else, Texans fan, who I know is subscribed to my channel. He said,
"Yeah,
Cole, you better be on the lookout for this." He said, okay. Oh, by the way, Super Yak also said, I love your videos. Appreciate it. He said, if the Texans win, my test will shoot up so much my beard will grow out just like Cole's. So you better be on the lookout for that one. I love that comment, by the way. Love that.
They can't win. We can't have any beard competitions. That's insane.
Oh, somebody said I look like I'm 25. That's what's up. I never get that. Whenever I make a video about somebody that somebody's fan base that says like they need to do this, like the Steelers need to move on from Tomlin. If it's a Tomlin defender, they'll basically just comment like, "Oh, nice one, 15-year-old football analyst." Everybody thinks they know everything. I get that a lot, but I'll take the 25.
You can't escape the age thing right now.
No.
I don't think I heard somewhere, maybe in one of your Q&As or your live streams, that you don't drink. But I was gonna say, if you did, you would probably get carded every time, dude. I haven't gotten carded, so I'm 33, but like, dude, I haven't gotten carded. They basically say if you look 40 or younger, I think you're supposed to card them. Dude, nobody cards me. I don't think I look 40, but they're just like, yeah, he is not 21 or younger than 21.
What's funny is I'm 26 now, and if we go to a bar wherever, I mean, I don't drink. I just say, can I get a water every time? But I didn't get carded. I've been to however many bars the past 5 years. I didn't get carded once, and I was actually like, damn, like. I guess my friends were around, so like they look older, but I was like, all right, like why didn't I get carded? It was just more of like I'm just so used to it, but it is what it is.
What are you looking forward to most the next whatever few weeks with the football season? Like, are you excited for draft content? Are you excited for because the Vikings are out? So it's like, are you excited for that? I know you cover that a lot. Or are you really looking forward to the rest of the playoffs right now? Like where are you kind of at with your content and what you're thinking about with the NFL stuff right now?
I'm looking forward to just continue. Right now, I'm going through a lot of teams and how their season ended and breaking a lot of this down. So right now, I have a Titans video coming out tomorrow, which I'm excited for that. I just did the Steelers Wednesday, so I'm looking forward to continuing to break down teams and basically, what can they do, who can they try and bring in free agency, maybe trade for this offseason. And it's not like, oh, hey, let's just, the Steelers or the Chiefs rather need to trade for Justin Jefferson because they need help. It's nothing ridiculous. It's everything, try to be within reason. So I'm looking forward to that. And a lot of people love the draft grade videos a couple of years later. So that will start relatively soon. I'm also looking forward to that, and also looking forward to countless mock drafts over the next couple of months.
Have you done a video yet on the Chiefs 2022 NFL draft? Have you done one on that yet?
Not that. So I've included them in a bunch of videos in terms of when you look at it, yeah, that's ridiculous. That's just,
There's so many in there.
McDuffie, Karlaftis, Leo. My favorite Chief is probably Leo Chanel. I love Leo Chanel. But I'm missing somebody else too.
There's
but
Pacheco. There's Jalen Watson in that draft. Sky Moore, which we just move on past that one. But yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot that I think 10 or 8 of the 10 or however it went, like played in the Super Bowl the year they were drafted, which is crazy.
No, it's a legendary class. It really is. And that's, I don't know if you want to discuss this at all, but I if you do follow me on Twitter, I have been very adamant about my Vikings improving the interior offensive line, and I have said
Trey Smith
several times. Yeah. Trey Smith, bring him to Minnesota. I need Kwesi to bring me Trey Smith because McDuffie's got to get, well, McDuffie's either getting paid or traded, and that's got to be on the lookout for that. Leo's either getting paid or traded. A lot of guys are either getting paid or traded, so I really think you already paid Creed, you already paid Tooney. I really think that Trey can show the boys in Minnesota how to actually block, and he can actually bring some beef with them.
I almost wonder if Trey Smith and his agent, his representation, intentionally held off from getting a deal done, because like Brett Veach made it seem like he was one of the top priorities after basically Harrison Butker and Creed to get a deal done. And I actually thought they might have gotten a deal done with Trey Smith, but I almost wonder if he just looks at the market. He knows teams that need guards, and he knows how well he's played and the value the Chiefs got out of him as the 6th-round pick that he was. I have a feeling, man, and there's a chance maybe he could return as a Chief, and the Chiefs do end up doing something long-term with him. It would probably be you have to backload it a little bit. That last year of Joe Tooney is going to hit, and then maybe Trey Smith is the future, and you're going with a young guy. But there's part of me that thinks he's just going to get offered an ungodly amount of money by a team like the Vikings with a quarterback on a rookie deal that want to build around him and protect their quarterback, address these weaknesses. Interior line was definitely a weakness for you guys, and I think he's going to get so much money in free agency. I don't know how the Chiefs keep him. I hope they can, but you can't pay him all. It's impossible.
Hey, you guys are in the middle of a three-peat. Just let me get one guard and we'll be good. You guys can maybe not in the middle of a three-peat, but you guys won 3 Super Bowls. Just let me get one guard. Let me get excited about having a guy on the same line as Christian Darrisaw, I love Christian Darrisaw, by the way. But let me just get excited. You guys can have Mahomes, you can have Kelsey, you can have Big Red. You guys can have yourself on as the strength and conditioning coach. Just let me have this one, and that's all. I'm a huge Trey Smith fan, and I was pretty annoyed during the draft. I know he fell due to a medical reason because he was like a top 40 player that year. And I was annoyed because it was like, look, even if he doesn't pan out due to medical reasons, like at least take a shot in the 5th round. And what do you know? The most successful organization over the past 5 years said, you know what, let's just take a shot and see what happens. And 4 years later, he's played at a Pro Bowl level in every year. So, I mean, what do you know? A good organization does good things whenever other teams don't. They take advantage. Who would have thought, right?
You could argue he's one of the best draft picks of the Veach era when you consider where they got him and how well he's played. Like, of course, McDuffie is great, but he was a 1st-round pick that they traded up to get. Just the value of Trey Smith compared to how he's played out there on the football field. Like, I'm trying to think who else that was a 6th or 7th-round pick that would have given the Chiefs more value. Like, Pacheco's been great, but Trey Smith has been, he's been borderline elite, which has been fantastic. So yeah, he deserves a lot of money, and if it's not the Chiefs that pay him, it's definitely going to be somebody else. Nefarious has back-to-back 20 bombs. Thank you for that, by the way. And he said, It's felt all season that the Chiefs were testing different offensive configurations and plays and less tomfoolery as there was in preseason, but honestly, the injuries forced so many limits to be tested. Yeah, it's just one after another. And then the revolving door at left tackle, like Kingsley Suamataia, I don't know how high you were on Kingsley heading like in the draft, but like he has, I don't know what they're going to do with him. Like maybe you give him a go again next year at the tackle spot. They played him at left guard week 18 against the Broncos, like every snap at left guard, which is very intriguing. He's one of the biggest guards I think I've ever seen. But yeah, I don't know what the Chiefs are going to do at the left tackle spot moving on into the future. Cause like Joe Tooney, he might be the left tackle in this game, Garrett. once again.
I did see that. And right now what I'm doing is I'm looking up my big board from last year, my top 150. I'm trying to figure out where I had him, and I can't find his name, of course, like I'm on the spot. But no, that does concern me, and I mocked a player that I really like in the draft process or that I've liked so far in the draft process to you guys. He's actually a local guy. I had Kingsley at 55th overall, by the way, on the big board. But I did my first mock draft of the year. I mocked Armand Mabou. He's from Missouri. He's a guard tackle prospect. I think you guys are going to have to address the offensive line and get cheaper there, obviously with the expenses of everybody. But the Chiefs offensive line, I think, would fare better with Tooney out at left tackle than that revolving door that they had early on, and just the lack of high level play that they had, like you mentioned early on. So I would agree with that. And also shout out the commenter with the good usage of the word tomfoolery. I always love a good tomfoolery when you can interject that. It's a good word. Good word.
Nefarious is the man, always dropping bombs. He dropped another 20 right after that, saying, I honestly do not think this team's full potential has been seen on the field. This is the healthiest this team's been offensively and defensively all season. I so wanted a Vikings-Chiefs Super Bowl, but Darnold, what's Sam Darnold? This is how he ended that. That would have been fun. But yeah, I think the bye week and the week 18 rest, like some are worried that it's too much rest. I think it's fine. Some Chiefs players needed it. Chris Jones with the calf, he's good to go. I thought about this too, Garrett. Kareem Hunt, I think he could be an X factor. I mean, is in this game, but maybe just down the playoff stretch, because he's for the first time like rested and acclimated in the Chiefs offense. So they signed him week 3 and they activated him from the practice squad to the roster like a week later. And I read an article in the KC Star that said after the first game he played for the Chiefs, because remember, there was no Pacheco, so he was the running back room for the most part. He said he was so sore, so banged up from the game that he couldn't get out of bed the next day. Because remember, no OTAs, no training camp, no preseason. He was working out, like trying to stay in some shape, but was basically on his couch. Well, now, after spending the whole season basically sore and just trying to make it week to week, he's got the 3 weeks of rest, and he could come into this game like not only fully healthy, but like fully immersed in the Chiefs playbook.
I couldn't agree more. And one thing that I think is worth noting, this isn't, he's not going to turn into Brian Barry Sanders by any means, but I think it's certainly worth noting is Kareem doesn't have a ring. So it's the fact of, you're getting that hunger for the first one. And I think there's a chance that he comes out like 2018, 2017 Kareem Hunt, where he led the league in rushing yards, and is just like he was a fun player back the first 2 years when it was that 2017 class of Mahomes and Kareem. And I think there's a chance that he comes out and just kind of like a bull in a china shop and just is prime Kareem Hunt. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know how long that effect would have, but this is a player that really is, we can also say he's at the tail end of his career, just based on how running backs go. Maybe he has another year, maybe 2, but this is a player that is very much in a now or never situation, despite how good the Chiefs situation is, despite how good the franchise is. For him specifically, it's very much now or never.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate what happened, the decisions he made, and how that whole situation played out. The Chiefs moved on, rightfully so at the time. It's cool to see him with the second chance and back now. But yeah, I'm fully under the opinion, and it doesn't matter now, but like I think the Chiefs would have made the Super Bowl in 2018 if Kareem Hunt wasn't let go at the end of November or whenever that was. Like they made it to the AFC Championship, but like he was such a huge part of their offense when he got let go. I mean, that's removing a huge piece. And again, the Chiefs still made it to OT in the AFC Championship game against the Patriots without him, but I always wonder what if, and can't go back, so it's fine. But yeah, I'm super excited and hopeful. Like if the Chiefs 3-peat, I will be extremely happy for somebody like Kareem Hunt, who has not had any of that taste, and he watched the Chiefs have all that success in Cleveland.
It's tough. It's a tough turn of events there.
Very tough, man. Dub Freak with the 5 gifted. Thank you so much, man. Shelby Dean with the 5 months. So that game they left Kingsley in that guard, he actually played okay. Maybe he just needed a friend to the left. Hey, maybe that's it. I don't know what to make of Kingsley's future yet. I'm never going to give up on a rookie, and the Chiefs aren't going to give up on a rookie even though they shut him down, they're not going to give up on Kingsley next year. I mean, I don't know what you're going to do with them, but they rode Sky Moore way longer than I thought they would. And he's under contract still for one more year. So we'll see. Nefarious with another 20 bomb. What's up?
I was in the chat saying D-Hop needs a ring. Good call on that.
Oh yeah, no, that was just an example of like Kareem's just one of them, but there's other players on the Chiefs that don't have a ring yet, and that includes rookies that the Chiefs just got. But yeah, D-Hop's another one, extremely motivated to get a ring. So I'd be happy for D-Hop as well, of course. And I'm sure there's a few others as well. Nefarious with another 20 bomb said, one thing I will say about the Vikings meltdown. Said, first down run was driving me so batty as the ongoing all-season third down deep ball pass from the Chiefs all season. I cannot believe how long Darnold held the ball every play.
Dude, there was one play in particular. I don't stream games because it credits yourself. I know you get excited as hell when things happen, but when bad things happen, like during the game, I'm like fist in hand. I'm like, come on, And I remember, I mean, not that it was like a long time ago, but like Monday night, there was one play in particular. I'm not exaggerating, Cole. It was 7 seconds. Darnold did not throw the football. We're down 3 scores. It was like a 12-yard sack. And I tweeted in all caps, Sam Darnold, get off my team. Cause I was like, throw the ball. And you can still hear the emotion a little bit, but I was like, I screamed at the time, just throw the ball. I don't really care if it's in the triple coverage. Just throw it. Just, you can't take a 12-yard sack. And that was brutal. It was brutal to sit through because it was like you're getting embarrassed on national TV. You're clearly not going to win the game. And the first 6 sacks were all like 3.3 seconds or longer. So it clearly wasn't on the offensive line for the first 6. Now, I think one of them, a corner came on an unblitzed or on an untouched blitz, whatever that's going to happen here and there. But like 6 or 7 of the 9 were 3.5 seconds or longer. And it was just like, Sam, you got to do something, man. You got to do something. So I'm with Nefarious on that one.
Dude, I couldn't believe it. I saw one, and we can move on from this game for sure because it's like PTSD type stuff. But I saw one sack for sure. Darnold held on so long, and the broadcast cut to KOC's reaction, and he was legitimately like just so beside himself, like could not believe that he still had the ball in his hand, kind of a thing. And I listened to his presser and stuff after the game, and he handled it. KOC handled it really well, but dude, he showed a lot of emotion on the sideline in that one. That's for sure.
That's actually one of the biggest reasons why I'm excited for the JJ McCarthy era, because that's where the improvisation is where JJ shines. And just the fact that KOC does a lot to protect his quarterback, knowing their strengths and weaknesses. And he does a lot to let him shine, and we saw that this year with Darnold, but he also does a lot to protect him. But at times the players have to make plays, and obviously Sam did not make plays Monday night the way that he needed to.
This is a little random, and obviously if you need to get off, just let me know when, anytime. I'd be curious to know your thoughts on the Raiders. They're an AFC West team, but they obviously fired their head coach. They fired their GM, Tom Telesco, after 1 year. Do you have them as where do you have them? Do you have them as the worst team that needs answers? Do you think, where do they go from here? You think Lions OC could be the next head coach over there? I know Tom Brady might have some input. I mean, what do you make of the Raiders situation? I don't know if you've done a video on them recently or I'm sure you plan on it if you haven't, but just curious, since they are in the AFC West, they're the only team that didn't make the playoffs. They're the only team that I'm like, where do they go from here? They're just at the bottom, no QB. What do you do for the Raiders?
So I do want to say this will be the last one I'm going to answer, because I'm getting up.
No problem.
Getting up at 5:15. I appreciate you having me on as always, Cole.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
The one thing that I don't have a great answer for is the Tom Brady factor, and the fact that there's an actual chance right now, as we sit here, that they get Ben Johnson. And how much is Brady going to have an impact on this organization is something nobody knows the answer to right now. Because if Tom Brady can basically recruit Ben Johnson to Las Vegas in what we can call is a terrible situation to go to a head coaching job right now, why in any way, shape, or form would you want to be in a division with forget Mahomes for a second. The Chargers just won double-digit games, went to the playoffs. I'm not really worried about what happened in the playoffs. It's the fact that that's in your division. The Broncos just had a quarterback have 34 total touchdowns, went to the playoffs. Again, not really worried about what happened in the playoffs when you win, double-digit games. 3 teams in this division won double-digit games. And oh, by the way, you're in the middle of a dynasty for a team that could be the first ever three-peat. Now we can get to the Chiefs. How good of a recruiter is Tom Brady that he might actually lure Ben Johnson to that situation over a Jacksonville Jaguars team that clearly has a quarterback option or answer in Trevor Lawrence that Ben Johnson can personally help, mold and get better. And I do think it's fair to say that Trevor Lawrence hasn't lived up to expectations from being the number 1 overall pick, but I also think it's fair to say that Trevor's situation was awful from day one with Urban Meyer and everything and all that, and that's a completely different 10-minute discussion. But how good of a recruiter do you have to be to lure Ben Johnson away from that in a division that is bad with the Colts, with the Titans, who have the number 1 pick? And I don't think the Texans are all that great. I mean, they're not on, nobody is, but they're not on the Chiefs level. They're not on the Bills level. They're not on the Ravens level.
Sure.
That is probably, aside from the NFC South, the collective worst division in football. I think that's very fair to say. And you're also going to sunny Florida with no state income tax. How good of a recruiter do you have to have in Tom Brady to potentially lure Ben Johnson away from that? So right now, if they can get Ben Johnson, if they can actually get that done, I think they will. I mean, it's 2025 is a wash because of how bad that roster is. That roster is horrendous, man. I mean, you're going into games with Aiden O'Connell, with Gardner Minshew, and Sincere McCormick, and Alexander Madison. Gee, I wonder why we didn't win a lot of games this year. I wonder why we didn't win a lot of games this year. But anyway, if they can actually get Ben Johnson there and potentially bring in, again, Sam Darnold threw 35 touchdowns, which was top 5. If you can bring him in for a bridge year, and go from there, because they're not going to be able to select either Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders in the top 5 of the draft. We'll see. But they're at least a year away no matter what. But if you can have just even that type of recruiter / ability in your building, that's huge. And I think the Raiders, I'm not going to say they're back by any means because they're an extremely dysfunctional organization. But that's the steps as to getting back.
That's a good point, too, about the Jags because, one of the worst divisions in the NFL. Like, you could probably feel good about going to that situation and competing rather than going to the Raiders, where I just showed you that tweet. I thought it was so funny. Just saw this article today. Adam Schefter says the Chiefs' supremacy could keep the Raiders from getting the head coaching candidate they really want. And yeah, you're right about it, man, on all fronts. So the AFC West is going to be competitive for years, I think, with Harbaugh back in the NFL. And then I think Sean Payton's doing a good job. He's got Bo Nix. But the Raiders are going to be the one team that's like, I don't know where you're going for a little while. It's going to be tough sledding. Garrett, thanks so much for your time, man. I know you work a lot of hours. You get up super early. I don't know if you know this, but when I started this YouTube channel, before I was doing this full time, I worked full time, salary job. But I woke up at 3:50 every morning and worked on YouTube till about 9:30, and then went to work. So I don't miss the early mornings, but I can respect the early morning grind, brother. So hats off to you for that, and thanks for weighing in on the games, on the Chiefs, and dude, your tweet that you tweeted week 1. If that happens, man, I'm gonna have to. I don't know what I'm gonna have to send you a big super chat or something, because Super Bowl 59 official prediction: Chiefs over Lions.
Hey, wait, don't give me too much credit. It wasn't that bold, but I think it's gonna happen. Mahomes getting 4 would be crazy. But regarding the full-time YouTube, I get where you're coming from, because I didn't wake up that early, but what I portioned out like my full-time job, and then was able to still portion out the YouTube and basically go hand in hand, but still work. The hours were always there, but it was basically like, splitting the time between the full-time and then the YouTube, and then eventually got to a point where we could go full-time YouTube. And I was very, very grateful for that every day. The hours are a minuscule sacrifice to be able to talk about football for a living. And I'm very grateful to be able to say that. So Cole, I appreciate you having me on as always.
Heck yeah, Garrett. Thanks, man. Have a great night, and good luck with all the content coming up.
Got you. Thank you.
Well, that was Garrett with Football Analysis. Make sure to give him a follow if you guys have not already. Let me get to the other screen share here, which that looks absolutely insane, because I need to go to this page. There we go. And then I need to switch my cameras just back to the widescreen on the screen share. There we go. Yeah, make sure to give him a follow on Twitter if you're on there, or X, I guess is really what it's called. Football Analysis, and then on YouTube as well, Football Analysis. He's on the grind, on the climb for 200,000 subs. He's at 177K so far. A lot of good football knowledge, league-wide, a lot of good draft knowledge, so make sure to give him a follow. But man, I'm excited. I'm excited about the divisional game against the Texans. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. I'll stay in here for a few more minutes and just make sure that I see everybody. Xander, thanks so much for the 15 months. At 15 months, let's freaking go. 15 for 15. Three-peat time. Heck yeah, let me switch. If I switch to this, can I get to the wide angle so I can read the comments better? Heck yeah, three-peat time. Chiefs are going to win 27-20, maybe 27-17. Kelsey, D-Hop, Worthy get TDs, and Mahomes throws for over 200 yards. I love all that I saw with that. Shelby, thanks again for the 5 months. Nefarious with all the 20 bombs in the world. Squiggles with the 28 months. Let's go. I'm fired up, son. Thank you, man. TJ with the 1 month. I love this collab. Both great channels. Sorry about the Vikings. I was rooting for you guys. Yeah, it just wasn't meant to be. Yeah, sorry I didn't get to that one before he had to get off, TJ, but appreciate the kind words. Nefarious with another 20 bomb. So the true question is, did Tyreek give up because he knew the Chiefs were going for a fourth title while he chased money, and it hit that he could have made more by staying and taking less up front? D-Hop, Hunt, and Hollywood getting a ring hype. Yeah, I don't know about that, but I mean, I do know that once Tyreek saw that the Chiefs were getting blown out by the Broncos, that meant the Dolphins were getting eliminated from playoff contention, and he was probably frustrated about it. I mean, could it have played a role that it was the Chiefs that were affecting his team's ability to get in there, and he just was that frustrated? I mean, maybe. I think he was just frustrated in general about not making the playoffs, but he didn't handle it well. He's a captain, leader, veteran on the team. You can't check out of the game and say, I'm not going in there. Like, what are we doing? You can't do that. That's unacceptable. I don't, like, obviously I'm not playing. It's not me putting my body on the line, but you're a leader on the team. You're getting paid a lot of money to play football, to go out there and run some routes and catch some passes, and to basically quit on your team when you knew that you weren't going to make the playoffs. I mean, it speaks volumes, and it's not a good look at all. Hank with the 16 months. Cole, let's go. I'm a little concerned on a slow start, but I feel we win 34-17. I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if we see a little bit of a slow start from the Chiefs in the divisional game, only because they haven't played a game in 23 days. I don't think that's going to be enough. Like, the slow start's going to mean they lose the game or anything like that. I mean, how many games, especially in the playoffs, have we seen the Chiefs come back from behind and win? They've been down 10 points multiple times in the Super Bowl at halftime, come back and win. In the divisional round against the Texans 5 or so years ago, they were down 24-0 at one point, came back and won 51-31. I don't want that to happen in this game. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. Don't want that to happen at all. But yeah, there might be a little bit slow start. I hope not. I hope they come out and they're able to hang 10, 14 points, halfway through the second quarter. Maybe they're up by a little bit there, but we'll see, just because you're right. They rested key starters week 18. They had the first round bye, and they're going to come out there healthy and motivated, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's just a little bit of a slow start there, just from a lack of recent playing time. I don't think it's going to end up in a loss or anything crazy like that. But wouldn't be surprised there. 16 months from Hank D's said, Cole. Oh yeah, I read that one. Thank you so much, Hank. And Destiny with the 8 months. Yo, let's go. Hope everyone's having an amazing night. Xavier Worthy is breaking that record McConkey set. By the way, I'm calling it now. Xavier Worthy's breaking the record that McConkey set. So was it most receiving yards in a game, in a playoff game by a rookie receiver? Because Ladd McConkey had like 197 yards or something insane. If Xavier Worthy does that, I mean, I'll gift you a membership, Destiny, to the channel for a year, because that's crazy if that happens. Wouldn't mind it, but that is a hilarious stat line from Ladd McConkey. They lost that game against the Texans last week, but he had 197 receiving yards, which was crazy. Tooney or Humphrey? So I wouldn't be surprised if you saw the Chiefs just stick with what they know, what worked well against the Texans. And because when they played them last time, it was Tooney, Mike Caliendo, Creed, Trey Smith, Jawan Taylor. I wouldn't mind seeing them try DJ Humphries, Joe Tooney, left tackle, left guard. But here's the thing. It was a less than ideal situation. I think when they signed DJ Humphries, the plan was to have him play 3 to 5 games with the Chiefs in the regular season, get up to speed, hit the playoffs in full stride, and you had DJ Humphries, Joe Thuney, Creed, Trey Smith, Juwan Taylor. They did not anticipate him hurting his hamstring on the first game he played. I think it was in the fourth quarter. Then he missed the next 3 or 4 games. He doesn't play again until the season finale, and the Chiefs are resting their starters. So if they want to go in there and say, hey, in the brightest of moments, we're going with continuity and what we know we have over everything right now, and you find DJ Humphries on the sideline and Joe Thuney at left tackle, I wouldn't be surprised. I have voiced the thought of you could see DJ Humphries out there because the left guard play would elevate so high from Caliendo to Joe Thuney that all you need at left tackle is serviceable tackle play. But Mahomes has a little bit of say in that as well, I believe. Like if he says, yo, I trust Joe, he has my back. We went up against some elite pass rushers and he never really let me get hit. Let's do that one. I mean, that's going to play a role. And obviously the Chiefs, their coaching staff, O-line coach Andy Heck, Andy Reid, they're going to all weigh in about it, and they'll make the decision they feel is best. When they step on the field Saturday at 3:30 p.m., when the offense walks out on the field, whatever decision they make, the decision is they believe this is the best 5 along the O-line for this game. Nefarious with the 10, another 10, so the ultimate irony would be if Q3 was the top scoring quarter. Oh, in the Texans game, if they score 3 times in the third, since that's their worst quarter all season, 32-18. So he's saying that it would be ultimate irony if the Texans put a bunch of points up on the board in the third, since that's their worst quarter all season. Oh God, please. I just let them score not much at all. But if the Chiefs won 32-18 like you're predicting, I would be totally fine with that. April, I watch all. I think Chiefs win 28-31. Okay, so they win by 3, 31-28. Texans get a touchdown and 2 field goals. Oh boy. I like your thinking, Luke. What did you say, Luke? We need Butker's foot fully rested and locked in. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, he missed 3 kicks in 4 games. One was an extra point that was backed up due to a penalty. But yeah, I hope he's looking right because Butker was Mr. Automatic. He's been Mr. Automatic for quite a while now, but since surgery has been a little rusty. It's the only scary thing I could think of left tackle. The rest of the team is awesome. Yeah, I mean, they had a really good game plan, and a lot of people say, well, hey, Joe Thuney, that combo worked really well with Thuney and Caliendo. Well, one thing the Chiefs did when Caliendo was left guard and Thuney was left tackle is they had a very quick passing game. Mahomes had his first and quickest second time to throw of the entire season in back-to-back games, Texans and Steelers, when Thuney was out there holding it down against some great pass rushers. The Steelers have some great ones, and then the Texans have arguably the best edge rushing duo in the NFL, Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson. But yeah, they had a real quick game plan of quick passing is what they were going to do. And maybe that's what they opt to go for in this one. We'll see. It's probably, we're not going to know until 90 minutes before kickoff is how that's going to happen. Butker came back too soon. Maybe so, April. Maybe so. You can't heal after surgery. Oh, yeah, it was a super minor knee cleanup, and it was his non-kicking leg. It is his plant leg. It's important too. But he's not kicking with that force, even though he is still falling with his knee on the ground there. But guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Wanted to do a preview. I think the beginning of this stream started off rocky. I was having connection issues, but it has since maintained and leveled out. So I don't know what the end of this or the beginning of the stream is going to look like once I end it. I don't know where we're going to start in our conversation, but hopefully the playback is smooth on replay. But thanks for your patience. Thanks for sticking that out when the beginning was a little bit rocky. If you haven't seen the Chiefs preview video, I dropped that yesterday. I did a division round preview video on Cole Breaks the Huddle earlier today as well. So check that out if you haven't seen it. Shout out to Underdog again as well. If you want to tail the picks, I talked about him earlier on in this video as well. And we'll be back. I'll be back. I might go live with some breaking news tomorrow if they for sure bring Justin Watson back and just kind of go over final thoughts before this game. But if not, I'll see you Saturday when I stream this game. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go.
Go Chiefs!